Welcome to the Bill Cartwright Show with Steve Cohen. Our special guest today is the Senior Director of the Leo McCarthy Center, Mr. Derick Brown. Derick, welcome to the show.
Thanks again. Thanks again, Bill, for having me. Really appreciate it, man. Wouldn't miss this for the world.
You know, what I always think is really amazing about the people that we know them, but we don't really know them, and especially in how they grew up. So just take us through that briefly. High school, what kind of kid were you in high school, and who were some of the mentors that you had?
That's a great question, Bill. For me, young cat, growing up in the Western Addition, born and raised in San Francisco. For me, when I went to high school, I absolutely love high school. I had a nice little car. I had old school. I had an
Wow.
old school Nova. So it was all white, pearl white with blue racing stripes, interior white leather trimmed with blue rallies. It was spectacular. And when I was there, I was also working at the Boys and Girls Club of San Francisco. So running programs, as a teen, when I got out of school, ran over to the Boys and Girls Club and would work there. And I had a bunch of mentors there, like Nate Ford, Gary Merritt, and Mike as well, Mike Jones. And they really just began to nurture me, while I was there at the Boys and Girls Club. And I was also in, leadership development classes and programs. It was a program called Keystone Club. So I had an opportunity to partake in various volunteering opportunities. But for me, community has always been the heart of everything I've been doing. Just when I was born and raised, grew up in public housing. And, for myself, an escape for me was always to go to, a community-based organization or play basketball or play baseball, play football, just to kind of get out there and make friends and just kind of just do my thing. And for me, I was the same way when I was in high school, outgoing, love to meet people, love to network, love to go to games, love to go to parties. I just always, try to love life and live, to the fullest. And just even though just growing up, like I say, just growing in public housing, just looking at, that there had to be more out there. There had to be more opportunities. Unfortunately, I didn't really tap into those opportunities until later on in life. Just even case in point, when I got out of high school, I went to work for the Boys and Girls Club of San Francisco, and I began to run programs there for teenagers. And after about 7 years of doing that, um, I created this college prep program, and I wanted to encourage the teens that I work with to go to college. But after day one of that program, they looked at me and was like, D, wait a minute. Why should I go to school if you never been? And I'm just like, oh man, the truth hurts. I was mid 20s. I had, a daughter, a 3-month-old daughter. And then I had to think about it, and I was like, wait a minute, if they're saying that to me, what about, my daughter when she's a teenager, what she say the same thing? So, I took a day off of work and went to City College and just enrolled and began to just surprise myself and did extremely well at City College. I got elected to the Board of Trustees my last year at City, National Dean's List a couple years in a row. And I remember when I received my report cards, I would run back to the Boys and Girls Club to show the teenagers that I work with, and we would have competitions to see who could get the highest GPA. And this guy will win each and every semester. But it was great because it really just inspired the teenagers I was working with to continue to do better and get A's and just really just strive for greatness. And for myself, I was leading by example. And when I graduated City College, I transferred to UC Berkeley, crushed Cal, took things to the next level, graduated there with honors and focused on public affairs. And then I began to do just a lot of work throughout the communities, work with Leader Pelosi, was an intern with her, tackled various projects that summer, and then even years leading up, throughout the past few years. But then also I left the Boys and Girls Club, went to Juvenile Probation Department, and had the opportunity to work there with young people there. But then I wasn't satisfied with that. I wanted more. And, I got accepted to Choral Fellowship Program where We took a helicopter approach and sampled various sectors throughout the year, nonprofit, private, tech, you name it. And then after that, I began to do a lot of consulting work throughout the city. Then I received a call from the late Mayor Ed Lee, and talked to me about an opportunity that he had for me to come on board to become a senior advisor there with him. So I took advantage of that opportunity, did that for several years. Then when a good friend of mine and mentor, Mayor London Breed, we grew up together in the Western Addition in San Francisco, and ourselves and Chief of Police Bill Scott, they had an opportunity which they created, which was perfect for me. And that was to look at ways that I can strengthen the relationship between the community citywide and SFPD. So for 2 years, I had the opportunity to be senior advisor to the Chief of Police and liaison to the mayor's office, and had the opportunity to do that for 2 years. And then now, currently, life has come full circle. I have the opportunity now to be the senior director of the McCarthy Center, and our main charge is to prepare students for a successful life in public service. So my career started working with young people, mentoring, leading by example, and here I am now full circle at an incredible institution like USF, and I get to do that day in and day out. And work with great folks like yourself, Bill, on the board of McCarthy Center, and look at ways to continue to open more doors for our future leaders. So that's a little bit about me, a snapshot of that, and how I was growing up to present day.
Can you talk about some of because it's really incredible, your journey, especially getting back to USF. Talk about some of the folks who kind of guided you along the way, because it's really remarkable.
Thank you, Bill. And that's a great question. And for me, I credit Dr. Mark Robinson. He's a mentor that I connected with while I was at City College, as well as Dr. Don Griffin. They both saw something in me early on when I was at City College, my first semester or so, still trying to figure it out. And I would see them walk around campus and, wearing their suits, and they were African-American men with, in high positions at City College. And, I began to just kind of connect with them and chat with them and talk to them about their life and, their journey. And they took an interest in me and began to help me navigate throughout City College and prepare me for where I am now. Where case in point, I had no idea about a student trustee position and really get involved in politics. But Dr. Mark, he really encouraged me to pursue this opportunity. And for me, first, I didn't know anything about politics, so I didn't know anything about campaigns. And in order to get that student trustee position, you had to have a campaign team and work with them. So, I had to kind of create that from scratch, with support and guidance of my mentors. And, ended up winning by a landslide, which was my first win. And I felt really pumped up and excited about that. But then also my mentors began to navigate me and put me in spaces where I can kind of showcase my skills, get out there and speak to audiences. I had the opportunity, like I say, I was a commencement speaker, at my graduation, and had an incredible opportunity to do that. But then not only that, when I was there at City College, I wasn't really even thinking about transfer or anything like that. It was just, let me just take some classes and let me lead by example. But those mentors saw something in me, and in particular, Dr. Don Griffin, he said, "You're UC Berkeley material." And I'm like, "What do you mean I'm UC Berkeley material?" He said, "I went to Cal. I recognize a bear when I see it. You're doing amazing work here at City College, and I believe in you, and I know you can apply to Cal and get into Cal." And for me, just a young cat growing up, public housing, growing up in the Mo, no one ever said that to me. No one ever, really just believed in me like that. But I had these mentors at City College really believing in me. So, I ended up doing an extra year at City College so I can get all A's on my transcript so that I had a better chance to apply to UC Berkeley. Long story short, I applied to one and only school to transfer, and that was UC Berkeley, and I got in easily. So having those mentors believe in me and push me, prepare me to get there, just like how when I was a teenager at the Boys and Girls Club and had those mentors pushing me and just helping me get into volunteer opportunities, they were leading by example. I was able to see that. So, I credit, a lot of my mentors from the Boys and Girls Club, City College, but then also to date, I have so many more mentors in different capacities that's readily available to support me. So whether I have any particular issue in, let's say, career hunting or some personal things, wherever the case may be, I have a different mentor for that, which is fantastic. And for me, like a lot of my mentors, they've been with me through ups and downs and twists and turns. And, they've seen me, at my lowest point, they see me at my highest point. But one of the things that I appreciate about all of my mentors is they never gave up on me. They saw my potential. They continue to push me. And this is something that I get to do now with a lot of my mentees. I push them, I challenge them, I guide them, to success. And that's even just case in point where I'm creating a brand new program here at the University of San Francisco, which I'm launching this fall. And I'm calling it the Rising Dons Mentorship Program. So what I'm going to do is to give the students here at USF, as well as students and staff and faculty, have them become mentors. And I identified 20 community-based organizations citywide with young people that will serve from 6th grade all the way up to 12th grade, connecting them for one-on-one and group mentoring, also opening the gates of USF even wider to allow these young people to come to USF throughout the year. So we'll have programming, we'll have workshops, we'll have trainings, we'll have opportunities for their parents to come to campus as well. We'll also do, tours and things of that nature to really get our young people exposed and also build in that mentorship, that capacity for us to start working with these young people, in underserved communities throughout San Francisco. So I credit all of my mentors to date. I mean, all of my mentors, I have them on speed dial. I call them on a regular basis, just like my mentees. They call me on a regular basis, and I'm always readily available for that. So I'm a true believer in mentoring. I'm a true believer in leading by example. And that's something that I do day in and day out.
Ask you why doesn't everybody have mentors then?
I don't know. Know what? It's funny. So for me, like I seek out mentors where, I look, and for me, it's like, I think about, okay, what I want to do, how do I want to operate? And I think some people, they're kind of hesitant on approaching others and just really just saying, hey, can you be my mentor or connect with them? So I think some people aren't too comfortable of doing that. Also, I think some people probably don't know how to be a mentor, or, some people probably don't know how to be a mentee. I mean, it's not, everyone can't just be a mentor. Like, you really have to be invested in an individual. You really have to have that time to stay connected with someone and guide them through that process. And so I think, some people probably don't have the time. Some people probably don't know how. Some people probably, afraid to meet, new people. So I think that's some of the barriers. But for me, like, I don't have anything to lose. Like, I don't really have anything to lose. So the worst you're going to tell me is no. And I could live with that. I've been through, more, crazy opportunities than that. And people said no. So if I'm going after, like, even with my mentors at City College and even beyond, like 90% of my mentors have come from me seeking them out, have come from me reaching out to them, saying hello, letting them know, hey, I love XYZ, what you were doing. This is what I'm doing. I would love to keep you, updated with my progression. I love to pick your brain. And that's where I kind of open a door to a lot of folks. So like I say, 90% of my mentors come from me seeking them out. So I think with a lot of people, just to answer your question again, I think barriers of mentoring is, I think, time, being afraid to go out your comfort zone and just reach out, and just really having that ability to really invest time, because it's hard work being a mentor. Like, I didn't realize that, when I had all my other mentors and I was the mentee, And now that I'm on the other side and I'm a mentor, like I have all these calls and emails and I'm connecting with them, lunch and coffee and all of this, and a lot of time and effort. So it takes a lot of time, but for me, it's very rewarding. It's something that, I look forward to, talking with, my mentees. I'm excited. That's the highlight of my day. Just like the highlight of my day is talking to my mentors. Like and my mentors that I've had, I have mentors as long as, 30 years, 20 years, 3 months, a year. So it kind of just varies. But I feel so fortunate to just have, so many amazing mentors in my life. But like I say, as a kid, I maybe only had like a couple, at the Boys and Girls Club, but now I have so many that I look to for guidance, wisdom, and advice.
Can you talk about and educate Steve here about the Fillmore District and what we're trying to accomplish down there?
Oh, absolutely. Thank you so much, Bill, for that question. Western Addition, I have to say again, near and dear to my heart. Just born and raised there. Family grew up there. A lot of families were forced to move, due to, high rents going up, renovations and relocations and, all the things that took place with redevelopment, throughout the years in the Western Addition. But Western Addition, before was kind of like the Harlem of the West. You had, restaurants, you had bars, you had a lot of musicians, and it was just a heartbeat, of the city, especially when it came to, African Americans. And, there's a lot of public housing, areas in that neighborhood, which I grew up. And growing up, it was tons of African Americans around that we connected with. Now to date, there's less than 3% of African Americans that let alone live in San Francisco, let alone, in the Western Addition. But one of the things we try to do is, especially in the Western Addition, there's a lot of underserved, communities and youth there. So we have an intentional focus with our Engage SF place-based programs where we're providing support for families and young people to give them access to USF and resources. We also provide an amazing literacy program where we have about 50 of our students here at USF go out in the community and provide literacy support to our young people. So whether that's in elementary schools or community-based organizations, we are there providing that support. And one of the things that we had to pivot due to COVID, we had to do all of our services now virtually. So huge credit to our team that pivoted so fast, because normally our students would go actually out in the community, hands-on, to work with the young people, but we had to quickly pivot, which, like I say, huge credit to our team. Dresden, she runs our literacy program. Karen Cotterman oversees Engage SF, and just the amazing work that they have done in the Western Addition to support our young people. And better yet, we also been, in conversation with the city, and, they love the work that we've been doing in the Western Addition, and they want us to build our capacity. So we're looking at getting potential resources from the city to support those efforts, to get more student tutors from USF to really give back to the community, in particular in the Western Addition. So again, Western Addition is near and dear to my heart. Western Addition is right only a few blocks away from USF, and we really love to get our students, our faculty and staff involved heavily within the Western Addition. In addition to that, another new program that I want to mention, I know I already mentioned the Rise and Downs Mentorship Program, but also I'm working on a community research hub that I'm launching this fall. This would be in collaboration with City College of San Francisco, as well as Collective Impact, which is a community-based organization in the Western Addition. So what we'll be doing is getting our faculty and staff, African American Studies and other departments, connecting them with the community so we can tackle research projects, so we can also train young people and young adults within the Western Addition, within these underserved communities, to train them and teach them how to be researchers, teach them how to connect and look at ways that they can build on the work that they've been doing in the Western Addition. So we have a lot in store for the Western Addition. Like I say, like I say, it's near and dear to my heart. And it's interesting because what I used to do is, going back to that first question, high school days, before I had my car, my old school Nova 71, I would go up and down the 5 Fulton, right past USF as a kid. But surprisingly, USF was not on my radar. USF was a place that, I felt that, people like me didn't go there. I felt that it was expensive. I didn't know how welcoming it was. So it really, really wasn't on my radar. But there was a lot of young people that, grew up right there in the Western Addition that I'm sure would absolutely love to come to USF, when I was younger. So one of the things that I'm looking at doing, again, is opening up that gate, letting our young people know, especially within the Western Addition, we're right up the street. We're doing a lot of amazing work. And throughout the years, this past few years, I noticed with USF, we've been having more and more community folks come to USF, which is fantastic. And what I really want to do is build on that. And just even case in point, I know Bill had the opportunity to, speak with a lot of our young people from the Western Addition, when they came on board and came to events here at USF. So Bill, I want to really thank you again, and all the young people, love connecting with you, seeing with you, hearing you talk about your journey. And I want to double down on all of that. I want the world, I want the city, I want the Western Addition, I want underserved communities to know that USF is here for them, that USF is readily available for them with resources and support and great folks that work here. So my goal is to continue to strengthen those pathways to get our young people here to USF, or let alone, any four-year institution. But I'm really pushing, USF and getting a lot more young people within the Western Addition to become a Don.
I think it's very, very admirable. And I think what you've been talking about is just a great testament to the importance of being a mentee and a mentorship, and how it feels great to do it. What I'd like to ask you is, what I'd like to ask you about a lot of this is where do you see USF in 5 years?
That's great. I think that's a great question. And the place I see USF in 5 years is getting out of its shadows. So one of the things that I look at is USF is being a hidden gem, let alone, also the Leo T. McCarthy Center. And I believe we could do a lot more. I think more people have to know about us and the work that we're doing and the impact that we're having, really getting on a communication push. But then also in 5 years, I want people to really just see the gate is wide open here at USF, and really welcoming for underserved communities and their young people to come to USF. Also, one of the things I see within the next 5 years is making sure that USF is more invested in the city, being more connected into City Hall, being more connected with our city departments. And we do have a relationship now, but I just see us strengthening that relationship. And then also making sure that that brand awareness is there. Again, I touched on communication, and, I don't want us to be a hidden gem anymore, whether it's the center or USF. I want everyone throughout the nation, internationally, to know about USF and the amazing work we're doing. So in 5 years, I really see us increasing our brand awareness. Also, just making sure that, we're being strategic about partners that we bring on board. And then also, like I say, just opening the gates for underserved communities to participate here at a USF and come to USF and provide support for a lot of our young people throughout the city. So that's where I see us in the next 5 years.
Derick, that was awesome. Just awesome. And thank you very, very much for being on. We will have to have further discussions. I'm looking forward to spending time with you, especially after this pandemic. We got to get out. We got to have some fun and get some stuff done. So thank you very much for being on. And I'm looking forward to spending time.
Sounds good. Thanks again, Bill. Thanks again, Steve. Really appreciate your time. always great, sharing space with you all, but I prefer it be in person. So looking forward to the next time we all connect, hopefully we can all be in person. But thanks again for having me. Really, really appreciate it. And let's keep it up. Let's keep crushing it, keep taking things to the next level. But I appreciate you guys so much.